What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite New York Jets subscription podcast, Badlands. I'm your host, Joe Caporoso, joined as always by Connor Rogers. The last time I said that, we were on stage in front of a few hundred people in New York City. I don't think I've come down yet. I'm on like an emotional high. I'm losing my voice. I'm almost breaking out in tears sometimes watching the videos of it. That's part of just getting old. But CR, how you doing? How you feeling?
I'm with you. It was such a cool event for a variety of reasons. We'll get into some of that tonight. And our group chat's been buzzing. I think it kind of inspired everybody to, it's the classic, like if you build it, they'll come. And I think we were, even by our standards that we set, and we set pretty high standards, I think we were pleasantly surprised with not only the turnout, because we knew how many tickets we sold, but the energy.
The energy was,
like really week one of the season pregame level energy. That's the kind of energy. And it's not like the Jets are going into this season with Super Bowl aspirations or expectations. Everybody was awesome. They were into it. It kind of felt very community over everything, which was really, really cool. And like you said, Joe, the show came out like we had a great production team. Shout out to Jason and the production team. It looked really good. It sounded good from everything we could tell. And it just kind of inspired us to do even more going forward. So we're hoping to kind of build events into a thing. They take so much work, planning, and execution that it's just not possible to do them consistently.
yes.
But we will do them more consistently of that capacity going forward because everybody's just exceptional, support of us and the energy involved in it.
Yeah, definitely more to come. We put the first segment, there were 6 segments. It was 2 hours and 14 minutes.
Yeah, no intermissions.
No intermissions.
We'll learn from that.
Yeah. Up as a War Room episode last night if you want to check that out. And we'll have some drips and drabs and like sizzles that hit social in the coming days. So check that out when you see it. But really special night, a ton of fun. We will do it again and we will build on what we did bigger and better. Tonight, podcast, I am going to give a 3-round mock draft as the draft amateur. I'm going to have CR review it for me. We're going to answer a few Discord questions because this week's War Room is going to be the full official Connor Rogers 7-round Jets mock draft, which you only get at Badlands War Room. So usually we do questions in War Room. We're going to put that in the back half of the pod. Front half is going to be my picks. And that's more than enough because it's the week before the draft. And on Holy Easter Sunday, we are planning to have the draft guide hit, which was it 200 reports we're looking at now across like 6 of you guys, which I haven't seen yet. I can't wait to see it. It's about as excited as I've been to like open anything all year.
As we sit here today, I know we have filed about 184, but we will easily hit 200 at launch because, of who we have planned. There's still some that I have to kind of migrate over notes. Yeah, it's going to have at least 200 reports, which is wild to think of, like Greg and I when we started doing this thing and making a PDF out of it. And now it's a full-fledged system thanks to Dan. We obviously have a bigger scouting team besides just Greg and I. Dan scouts, Paul scouts, Meek scouts. We have Max added to the fold this year. It's going to be pretty special. It's gotten to the point though. It's like a blessing and a curse, right? Where I'm finalizing my big board for my day job at NBC. And I obviously integrate my big board into the Badlands guide as well. And now I'm at the point where I'm watching player like 278. I always do 300 or 305, whatever it may be. I'm watching player 278, and I'm like, man, this guy should be in the guide. Like, it's a run stopper. The Jets might take him. You just, now it's like you're bothered by it at this point.
It's in the head.
So now. Yeah, it's in the head. So it's a crazy process, but just goes to show you how big we've ramped this thing up.
I cannot wait to see it. Quick PSA shouts before I get into my picks. We still have the polos for sale at badlandstoj.com. They are very comfortable, especially as it's golf season now. Horrible golfer. Still love wearing the shirt when I go to Top Golf.
It's a comfortable polo.
It's a comfortable polo.
I genuinely golf in it like all the time. It fits good. It feels good. I joke around. It's funny. That's the product we have left out of everything we've sold. It's the only because it's the thing I wear by far the most. But it's great.
And the other shameless plug, and this is not a sponsor. We were just talking on air how even now at our age we understand drinking a non-alcoholic beer in Athletic. I'm actually drinking this because before I was running around like a maniac to get back to record. I left my normal headphones at the gas station, like on top of the pump. Went back to get them. They were, of course, gone. The next person took them. So now I'm using my wife's new headphones here. That's why they're a different color. And I got back with like 4 minutes to spare, changed, and I haven't eaten all day, which is a bad habit I'm getting into. And on the table, my wife's pregnant, remember, there was like that like sushi you get from the supermarket, like the little tray, and a piece of carrot cake. And I took a fork that had wasabi on it, and I ate a piece of the carrot cake. And that was what I ate. And I was like, I need to wash this taste out of my mouth before I run into my office and record with Connor. And now I'm having a delightful Athletic beer as I make my final mock draft. Not final, because we're going to have some graphics come out where I might make some tweaks, but I thought about this long and hard. I was, up until about 15 minutes ago, going to go with Mason Graham, learning from my Garrett Wilson, Olu Fashanu, like go back to the beginning, go back to the guy we talked about first. And that's who I talked about first. A lot of people talked about it first. Jets did a visit with him. However, I think he's going to go at 5. I think in my head, it's going to be Ward, Hunter, Carter, Campbell, or Membu. Actually, you know what? I think the Pats are going to take Membu and piss all of us off at 4.
That would really suck.
I kind of feel that. I kind of feel that coming. I think the Jags take Graham. I think the Raiders take Genty. And I think then it's like, are we going to take Campbell or are we going to take Warren? And I think the Jets take Warren at 7. So I'm going with Tyler Warren as my pick.
Ooh.
And with the first 6 being the surprise in the first 6 being Membo going at 4 and pissing Jet fans off and basically leaving the choice because Graham's gone, Genty's gone, Membu's gone. So that leaves the Jets Campbell, Warren, Banks, or are you taking like Shamar Stewart or another defensive player that we've riffed about? I think in that scenario, they're going Warren, not Campbell or Banks. But do you agree?
This is so difficult. I agree. Number one, you laid it out. Membu's gone, right?
Yep.
So in that scenario, I think they would take Warren because this is the problem. The opinions are split on Campbell. I don't think he's a tackle, and I will either go down looking really foolish about that, and that's something that pisses people off sometimes when you take a great college tackle and you say he's not an NFL tackle. I know a lot of teams that don't think he's a tackle. This is a really interesting combo that Sims and I had at work. I'm sure it was on air when I was doing one of his pods, but like we don't think he's a tackle, and there's not a tackle in the league right now that has his wingspan, so he'd be a massive outlier. If he works out at tackle, great for him. I do think he's an exceptional guard at the next level. The Jets don't need a guard. They don't, unless they're playing ABT at tackle, and they came out and said at the owners' meetings they're not playing ABT at tackle. So if they were lying, okay. So through all of that, my point is, if you go by basic scouting, in that scenario, you take Warren. And I think you're on it, and I think you're painting a very important scenario. We're all sitting here every day just assuming Membu's going to be there.
Yep.
And that's not...
we're getting that punch in the gut at 4.
Yeah, it's not a game. What if Jacksonville could take him?
That's absolutely it's a good challenge.
He's a really good prospect, and he's a really good tackle prospect. So why is it a guarantee he's there at 7? There's a chance he's there at 7, a decent one. So I like that we're doing this instead of just logging on and saying, Membu at 7, let's keep it rolling. Yeah. Let's show a different scenario. I imagine the Jets love Warren because a really good tight end can be the second engine of this offense. Obviously, Garrett Wilson is the skill player. That's the engine. But a really good tight end can be the engine of this offense. So, and we're going to get into today too. Well, what does this mean for now right tackle and all of that stuff? But yeah, I'm with you in this scenario. Membu's gone. Graham is gone. Take Warren and get a big-time playmaker. He helps you in the red zone. I compared him to Jeremy Shockey. And I went back.
Who was really good, by the way, for Jet fans who are like, Shockey, like, screw that guy. He was so good. Yes.
Shockey was so awesome. And Shockey's the type of player that Googling his Pro Football Reference page doesn't do him justice because of the era he played in, although his numbers were really good. That's the crazy thing. For a long time, I went back and watched the moment he was drafted to show the Miami cut up they played of him.
Oh my God. That Miami team
is nuts.
Outrageous.
I watched his stuff from the Giants, and then I watched the moment he was drafted to see his Miami cut up that they played on draft night. And man, the NFL, I don't know if it's a nostalgia thing. The draft was so good back then.
Oh, it was the best.
It was amazing. So, and they are very, very similar. And if you believe in that, Shockey is worth the 7th overall pick in this draft with Membu off the board. So I'm excited to see where you go from here, though, because as we've been very anti-Okorafor as the starting right tackle. So I feel like you have something up your sleeve to make sure they also have right tackle solidified coming out of the draft.
Yeah, I could hear the night one press conference already. Aaron Glenn, this was our guy. He plays the way we want to play here. Physical, every down player, great blocker, going to bring attitude to the run game. Of course, we know what he can do as a pass catcher. Reminds me of this guy that I coached or played with. Maybe he shouts out Laporta in some way.
Tush weapon, push demon.
He's versatile. He can help as a runner. He can help here. He can do this. And then they're going to get
not whiskey, by the way. It's iced tea.
It'd be understandable if it was whiskey at this time.
I'm not. No, it's literally iced tea. I need to clarify that so people don't think I have a problem.
We got a non-alcoholic beer sponsor and a whiskey sponsor in the first segment.
Yeah.
Then you'll get the question from like our guy Zach or Hughes or someone like, what about tackle? Well, we feel good about Chugs. He started a lot of games in Pittsburgh. We'll see what the board brings on day 2 or day 3. Then we're going to get to day 2, and the Jets are going to immediately go and draft their right tackle and take Ozzie Trapillo. And
okay,
like maybe it's a touch high based on from a distance read. Like, is this maybe 10 spots too high for him? But who cares? Because he can come in. He's good enough to start as a rookie. We feel good about him as a second rounder. So if it's a little high in the second round in a draft where it's hard to trade back, we're just going to get the plug and play right tackle. We're going offense, tight end, right tackle. You mentioned his name a week ago, I think, when we recorded, and it stuck in my head. And he's like the guy I started to like dig a little more on. And I was like, why not if he's there in the low 40s? Like, he can start. He will beat out Chugs in camp. And imagine you leave those first 2 rounds with Warren and him, and you're like, wow, okay, I feel pretty damn good about how the offense is coming together.
So, one, I love your conviction here because Trapillo doesn't get talked about consistently in the top 50, but when you look at how the NFL covets the tackle, real tackles, not college tackles that need to kick inside, he should be a commodity in this draft. I don't care that it is a little early, but it's a tackle. So I don't mind taking the tackle a little early here. Now, number one, we're going to have some sick merch if this happens because on the NFL Stock Exchange podcast, Trevor and I, when we first started tackles, we didn't know how to pronounce his last name, if it was Trapillo or Trapillo. Until I
did ask you before we come on there. I'm like, I'm going to screw this up. Tell me how to pronounce it.
With his first name being Ozzie, I just started calling him Crazy Train, which is a great nickname for an offensive lineman. Yeah,
make the shirts now, please.
Yeah, so Ozzie Crazy Train Trapillo is almost 6 feet 8 inches tall.
Jesus.
His dad was not only an NFL offensive lineman, but a really, really good offensive lineman for Boston College as well, Steve, who unfortunately passed away, I believe, of a heart attack at 39 years old. So there's NFL bloodlines here with Ozzie's dad, and had the same pathway, being a really good BC lineman, 6'7" and 7/8, 314 pounds. I wrote down ideal size and length at tackle, 2 years of reliable pass protection on tape, only 2 sacks allowed over the last 2 seasons, and they were from one was from an overload pressure, and the other was from a stunt. So it's not like a real one-on-one pass set. He's quick off the ball to climb in the run game at 6'8", 314. And I saw power on film to dump defenders when he had his hands and his leverage correct. It's really hard for a 6'8" tackle to play with good leverage. But when he did play with good leverage and he got his hands inside, he dumps defenders. I think in the run game, the hands are all over the place. I didn't think he was a great fit for heavy outside zone teams. I hope the Jets have a man gap downhill running scheme this year. Like, I want to punch teams right in the mouth. Not saying you can never run outside zone. You're obviously going to have a pretty versatile run scheme in today's NFL, but I think he's a fit for the Jets. He'll sometimes throw his pro punch without like his base being under him, and he's still learning how to process and react to stunts. But I think he's a starter at the NFL level. He's played right tackle now for a couple years, and this is what a right tackle looks like as well in terms of the size and length to win on an island. So this is a really interesting pathway we're going down now, because all of a sudden the strong side of our formation has 6'8", 315-pound crazy train with Tyler Warren next to him, and then you keep Olu on an island on the left side. I'm ready to do some damage in this New York Jets offense.
It just feels like it fits. Shockey and Crazy Train as your first two picks. You add in like an element of physicality to the offense, and all of a sudden, the panic of tight end and pass catcher and right tackle calms a little. So now we go to round 3, and I think this is a little bit of a reverse where maybe I'm reaching here and this guy won't be available, but things happen and you never know who slides. I'm going to triple up on offense. I apologize to you and Dan, and I'm going to take receiver Kyle Williams in the 3rd round, who's going to fall further than they expect. And the Jets, due to Muji magically moving the pickup 20 spots, are able to get him in the low 70s. So all the questions about receiver are not answered. It's a round 3 pick. But the Jets have now went offense, and they are going to save day 3 for addressing the entire defensive side of the football. What is the practicality of Williams being there at 73 or in the low 70s?
I'll call it a coin flip. Speed sometimes gets overdrafted. So
we need speed. Glenn has spoken about it, and they got none of it at receiver right now.
Right. No, they've had a visit with him. This is obviously a need because like you said, they need speed. He played outside, so you're not worrying about drafting a guy that suffocates your slot.
Yep.
My whole point of I'd call it a like overdrafted a speed is somebody taking him before this. But I don't want to play too much of that game on this because, to be fair, you took Trapillo 15 to 25 spots earlier than where you're seeing him a lot. So why can't we – like, there's a world where you could even flip these picks, which would be nuts if Williams goes at 42. But so I don't want to play too much of that game. I think this is fair to outline. And it's a guy they've had interest in. He's really interesting because I love his play speed. He's somebody to me that – he didn't just time fast. He actually plays fast. I'm pulling up my notes on him right now. God, my doc is at the point where it's out of control. It just takes
bursting
so
at
long.
the seams.
Yeah, like I search Washington State and I got to scroll through like 85 different things. But anyways, Kyle Williams, Washington State transfer from UNLV. Compared him to Eddie Royal, 5th-year senior, 5'10" and 5'8", 190, so smaller than your typical outside wide receiver, but that's because of the play speed. Pretty small hands, not much arm length, 4'4", 40, 36.5-inch vertical, 9'11" broad jump. I wrote big-time play speed to create explosive plays. He had 26 catches this year for 15-plus yards. Very quick feet in his releases to make press coverage pay. More competitive at the catch point than you'd expect for his size. He was pretty good in contested situations. Speed is with him without the ball. He's very dynamic in the screen game, slippery in the open field with jukes. They ran this reverse play, and I don't know if like the teams they went against just never watched it on tape. They spammed this reverse play a couple of times this year, and he won the corner every time. Every time he beat the defense to the edge and picked up, 10 to 15 yards or whatever it was. He's slender. He's got short arms, small hands. He'll drop some easy ones due to a loss of concentration or inconsistent tracking. He undersells his routes too often because he's like, I'm faster than everybody, so I'm not going to oversell my routes. That can go one of two ways for me. Sometimes I get it. Sometimes I wish there'd be a little bit more detail. But my final line in the scouting report, not to give away the guide write-up, was there are fundamentals of his game that need work, but his pure playmaking and speed cannot be taught and should be valued in this draft in the middle or late portion of day 2. There you go.
There we go. I mean, listen, you look at the Jets receiver room, they got the big, slow, power forward blockers in Reynolds and Lazard. They got kind of like the not that fast, maybe there's a little upside, Tyler Johnson. They got a fullback in Malachi Corley, and they got Xavier Gibson still here for some reason. So Aaron Glenn has spoken about the need for speed. They went offense, offense, offense. We closed day 2. We feel like we answered a lot of your guys' questions about the offense. We're building a specific kind of offense around Justin Fields that Tanner and I are really excited about. All 3 of these guys are going to play to his strengths, and we're going to play a certain style of football. There we go. Now we get to day 2. I'm only going to give one pick here. I'm going to squeeze it in as a bonus
Day
pick.
3.
Day 3. RJ Mickens, probably a touch high in the 4th round. Both of us are going to call our shot. The Jets are going to draft him. They're not going to mess around. They need a safety. He's good enough to potentially start as a rookie with this depth chart, and they're going to take him right in the 4th. And then the rest of the draft after that is going to be defensive linemen and edge rushers. And that's
yeah, sure.
But that's my bonus pick that I'll squeeze in there. Is it insane to think he'd go in the 4th round?
No. It kind of confuses me why he's projected as a 6th rounder or 7th round, wherever he is. He was a Shrine guy, not to knock Shrine, but typically Senior Bowl gets better guys. Not always, but most of the time. I don't know what I'm missing with this guy in his tape, and I'm sure Aaron Glenn will have the scoop. So it's not too early. Let's look at the exact draft slots for the Jets in this draft to get real nitty gritty. And don't worry, if you're a War Room subscriber, you're going to get every pick for my version, although I really like Joe's. I'm kind of going to be a little jealous if mine's not better than this. So that's pick 110. Maybe you get him at pick 145. The Jets have 2 5th rounders and 2 6th rounders, but their first 5th rounders pick 145. Maybe you get him there for sake of argument. Let's take him here. Get somebody that is just a really good tackler and can play downhill and maybe match up against tight ends and play special teams. And you got the legacy connection there. And I like where your head's at. You'll see more of this in my 7th rounder. Or maybe you will, maybe you won't. I haven't decided because I'm running a simulator, so some of it's out of my hands.
It's up to the simulator guys.
Yeah, so there's going to be spots where I don't know what I'm doing as we're recording this right now first. But I have like 8 guys on day 3 of this draft that are run cloggers. And
you're definitely drafting 2 D tackles. It's happening.
We'd love a star to be next to Quinnen Williams, and maybe it happens, or a higher end player. But if the Jets want to go like economy friendly next to Q and just get 2 run stuffers in rounds.
That was their free agency approach. They signed like 7 of them.
Yeah.
7 bottom of the roster D tackles.
That are so uninspiring, but I could talk myself into a 6th rounder to be the guy. This approach works. For anybody freaking out, like, he didn't get this, he didn't get that, that's every draft. I'm a big fan of this draft. And I'm where you got Williams is where I would take him. It seems like other people are way higher on him, and teams are pretty high on him, but I'm a fan of this. I would feel like the Jets are a tougher, faster football team. And if I was sitting in a GM chair ever, I think I'd write those 2 words down like in front of me every day at the end of every evaluation I do. Does this make us a tougher or faster or both football team? And if the answer is yes, then that's the place I want to be.
For those of you watching on YouTube, get the full episode at patreon.com/BadlandsTOJ. We're going to answer some Discord questions before we wrap the episode. All right,